You're welcome back to Global Business Report here on Arise News. The Central Bank of Nigeria said the country's financial inclusion rate stood at 63.2% in 2018. Now, the CBN also said the figure showed a marginal increase of 4.8% from 58.4% in 2016 to 63.2% in 2018. This figure was achieved through its biannual financial inclusion survey conducted within the period reviewed, and the measurement also disaggregated financial inclusion data on a state-by-state level for the first time. Now, the bank said the data showed significant improvement in the northwest and northeast zones. Still in Nigeria, the federal government is under pressure to meet the revenue target of 10.33 trillion naira proposed in the 2020 budget. This is according to Zainab Ahmed, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, who spoke at the breakdown of the 2020 executive budget proposal and admitted that government is under pressure to improve revenues and ensure that revenue targets are met to fund development. And Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu comments on this. Good to have you, Chika.
Hey, hi, Nick.
Good morning. So, why is CBN driving this policy of financial inclusion?
Financial inclusion basically is trying to bring the underserved into the formal banking system.
Yeah.
To provide, in that way, providing them banking services that are, relevant to them, affordable to them also, very relevant and affordable to them, and they're appropriate to their standard of living, especially for the poor and the rural people.
Yeah.
Research has shown that when you have a higher financial inclusion,
indeed,
it helps to promote economic development. And for those people who you bring from the cash environment to the formal banking system, it promotes savings. And when that happens, also it helps employment and the standard of their living. And moreover, if you bring more money into the banking system, it expands the amount of funds available for giving out loans, then leading to the stability in the financial system. Yeah. So overall, the economy is better for it when more people are into the formal banking system.
Indeed, more people, more numbers, more profit, as it were. So, what specific initiatives is the bank implementing to increase this inclusion concept?
The CBN has been pushing for this. Indeed, what it does conduct a biannual, every 2 years, research or assessment of the progress made.
Right.
2018 was the best year, was the major important year, where a lot of initiatives come into the system. Also, even start from the banking system, a lot of banks have expanded, moving out from the banking hall to alternative channels.
Okay.
And so you find a lot of banks now pushing the banking to the phones, not even only to the Android phones, to any kind of phone you have now through the star 73, whatever a lot of banks have. So that has helped us to bring a lot of people into the banking system. A lot of banks have also appointed, agents who act as quasi banks to provide services, banking services to the greater people in the remote areas. But most importantly, that the move has been on to bring the telecom companies into the banking terrain by licensing what they call the PSB, the Payment Service Banks. So they have the issue of mobile money coming to the system. Indeed, without coming to the system now, we here, I think 2 or 3 of them have gotten their licenses.
Yeah.
And once that those people come into the system, remember, we have more than 100 million Nigerians who have phones.
Indeed.
And when that comes to the system, that will further help to deepen the financial inclusion in the environment.
Indeed. And you also mentioned the alternative channels, which, of course, sometimes they have issues as well. So how has the reliability of this concept hurt these drivers?
Yeah, the thing is that we're trying to move people from there, instead of paying cash, let them put it into the banking system and use the alternative channels to do the transactions. But we talked about in this program several times, the kind of frustration that people have faced, where transactions are incomplete. And then when the transactions are incomplete, the reversals are not done on time.
Indeed.
With the hues and cries that happened earlier this year, the banking system, the central bank, the banks, and then the other stakeholders in the payment value chain, all work together to make sure that these downtimes are reduced. And significantly, there has been a major improvement in that process to increase confidence in the payment system. But one other issue that has been created some doubts or challenges is the fact that that CBN has come in and said they want to the cashless policy, they want to spread it around the country, and that if you pay in cash, they will charge you. But above the threshold.
Okay.
And if you also withdraw cash, they charge you above the threshold. And that will mean discouraging people from doing cash and moving to the electronic platforms. And then there's a policy that's coming out now that electronic platforms, if you do transactions there, they're going to tax you on it. So you'll find that a mix. Are we chasing people from cash to move to the electronic platform to tax them better, tax them more? So what will be the impact of this on the banking system?
Yeah, good question. And still on the fact that you mentioned instilling confidence on this, when we take a closer look at that report, we saw that there's been an improvement in the northern region, which is usually a cash-based scenario. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, again, it requires peace to do banking. It requires peace. I guess where security is better and peace return in those areas, you can get some improvement. Then the other thing also is the fact that where you don't have the formal banks, a lot of people out there have started doing the banking through the phones. Okay. So that has also deepened the inclusion. Understandably, the Southwest, which is the capital of banks in Nigeria, has met the threshold. The Nigerian threshold is by 2020 we should have at least 80% financial inclusion or 20% financial excluded. Okay. So the Southwest is about 19% now, which has done that. So while hoping that, meanwhile, in the South, Northwest, and Northeast, they're about 60% excluded, so which is very high. But there are some improvements. So hopefully that we'll notice more improvement in the years coming.
I just want us to touch on the issue of the timing of this policy itself, and with the emergence of tech, startups and tech businesses relying heavily on electronic platforms. So would you say the timing is appropriate?
Yeah, we can't wait forever. Yeah. We know there are some critical success factors for electronic transactions or even fintechs to succeed. One of them is the reliable infrastructure, power, the telecom network, and then logistics. But we know we're lacking in those areas. But the issue is let us start, and in doing that, where to be created, I guess government, I know they have funds to solve those problems.
Very good, Chika. Now let's talk about the Federal Ministry on the budget. We heard the intro there, and you have to think about all this. It's still gaining ground, as it were. So how can the federal government pursue optimal revenue generation? So what will change? We're still talking about a monolithic economy, and we're still more rhetorics. And
this topic I found it difficult to. I don't know how to address it, but let me try. One of our the analysts, who does rise for this day, Alex Oti, says something that our revenues are not small. Okay, it's our expenditures that are too much. Wow. Our revenues are not small. It's our expenditures that are too much. But be that as it may, we have been known to be consistently very notorious for not meeting our revenue targets. True. In the last 3 years, we have barely met 50% of our revenue targets. There have been very ambitious projections of revenue lines. I was listening to the Minister of Finance, I think 2 or 3 days ago, when she was talking about several of the lines. Signature bonus was not met, domestic recoveries, asset and fines, and so many of the lines were empty by half year. No income has been met. And I guess this year will pass again like previous years, where the revenues about 50% will always only be met. I can only ask for a more diligent prosecution of the revenue lines. Okay. Indeed, hopefully, our president, when he was reading the budget, said that all the revenue centers acting similar to what happens in the private sector will be put on targets. And when they don't achieve those targets, the CEOs or the DGs or those respective parastatals will be penalized or sanctioned, as the case may be, hoping that that will happen. Because I think it was only customs that made their revenue line by half year. Okay. The other revenue centers all didn't meet it. They were miles away from it. So one of the first things is this issue of target setting. And target setting is meaningless unless you do budget against actual comparison. And then there may be sanctions for non-performance, including the CEOs, like in the private sector, losing their jobs. If a CEO in the private sector, serious private sector, doesn't meet his Q1, Q2, they'll get somebody else to do the work. So the government has to have that, implement that policy that's initiated, in the sense that they will check the budget against actual, and all the CEOs or the DGs or the parastatals that are not meeting targets will be removed for other people to run their show for them.
Indeed, and to a large extent, that would also increase, the transparency of the process itself, because you're constantly monitoring their performance, as it were.
Yeah.
Now, so what are the low-hanging fruits here, if any?
Well, I mean, what is our bread and butter? You know, they hand let the golden goose for us. For us is our oil, of course.
Yeah.
The issue is that, luckily, the president has said the sector has been buffeted by the lack of consistent policies and policy direction that will enable investors bring in their money. Luckily, the president has said that he will engage the legislature this time around to make sure that this first half of next year, the petroleum industry bill, the PIB, is put into place to enable us to have some transparency in the sector and attract the investment required to move our oil production to the next level. I believe that's very important.
Okay.
Now, there has been a clamor for the government to increase taxes. Now, our economy is struggling. The simple basic economy tells us that when an economy is struggling, what they actually do is to reduce taxes to promote consumption. And promoting consumption will mean production will increase.
Indeed.
And in that way, the economy will grow. Taxing the citizens in the way the economy is now, I don't think it's going to be very, very, very profitable for us. I think also the government has to look, if you ask me, look at low-hanging fruit, to look at the cost of expenditure. Because out of this proposed 2020 budget, out of the 10.33 trillion that is there, about 35% of it is on personnel costs, salaries.
So the government itself has to prune down its workforce, streamline its expenditures.
To look at that. And it may not involve actually retrenchment.
All right.
It may involve actually being nimbler and being more efficient in the way they use resources.
All right.
So those are there's so many things we can talk about if we want to get things better. As I told you before, somebody said it's not our revenues are low, but our expenses are very high.
Expenses, indeed. Now, just in 30 seconds, the finance minister said the government is under pressure for more revenues, as it were. So how does that instill confidence on Nigerians on this budget?
Yeah, because of the fact that it's told already. We have budgets of, the budget is how much out of the 10.33 trillion next year, only 8.5 trillion of it is revenue. Yeah. And we know that the actual will be less than half of that.
True.
As I told you earlier on, the revenue centers, they should push for the targets, reduce the leakages we have in the government, and we're sure that, hopefully, that things will get better for us.
All right, on that note, Chika and Mbonu, many thanks for your thoughts on those issues.